Well, the kid can spin it. Apparently the front office can too. The 8th overall pick requiring some explanation. A month removed from guaranteeing Kirk Cousins 9 figures, the Atlanta Falcons spending prime capital on Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr., a successor some seasons off for a prospect that will be 24 a week from Wednesday. Back in studio, Joe Musso alongside Ryan Wilson and Rick Spielman, and we're a couple days removed from the pick, and I still don't get it. Some of the smarter minds around the league have explained it in certain terms, but the 8th overall pick for a project that we won't see come to fruition for some time, a prospect that many touted as the most pro-ready. How could you not give this a failing grade?
Well, for the purpose of our conversation here, Joe, failing's going to have to be C. That's the lowest grade I give. So
fair enough.
Grade on a curve.
Taking your classes.
It wasn't a grade.
Yeah, a pass-fail, but it's all pass.
Yeah, well, this is as close to fail as you're going to get. They did check some boxes, and they did solve some issues. Raheem Morris, we've talked about this, Rick. The first quarterback he drafted when he was the head coach of Tampa Bay was Josh Freeman. So quarterback isn't necessarily a surprise in that sense, but taken in totality of what the Falcons needed to do, they did take 5 players on the defensive side of the ball. But when you look at the picks they had, they picked Penix 8th. They could have had Byron Murphy. They could have had Dallas Turner. I've since learned that they were off Dallas Turner, so Layout Latu perhaps is an option. It took Rukaroro. You see that there at 35. They could have had Johnny Newton, Braden Fisk, Christian Braswell, Edge Cooper. So there were other options that you keep coming back to as you look who was drafted after these players were taken. And I know what you may say, Rick, well, they had these guys graded higher, but it all starts with Michael Penix Jr. And to reiterate for the umpteenth time, Joe, this isn't about Michael Penix Jr. It's about what are the Falcons trying to do in the short term. It seems in the long term, Michael Penix Jr. is going to be in their plans.
Yeah, and I just thought with everything they were able to accomplish this offseason, putting that team together to come out not only win the NFC South, but maybe advance in the playoffs, that the draft didn't indicate what they did during the offseason. And that's by, drafting Michael Penix Jr. And again, we all both love Michael Penix Jr. It's just weird. But then some of the defensive moves, I think, and Ryan, on your big board and how your mock drafts, which I follow truly to the T, you had some of these
That almost felt genuine.
There's no sarcasm over here. There were some better options, I would say, out there. I mean, Braylon Trice, he's a good try-hard effort guy. A lot of his sack production comes off a second effort. The 2 guys that I really liked, and I thought they got better down here, was Dorless, the defensive tackle from Oregon, who can play base end. I think he's going to be a really good inline pass rusher by the time it's said and done. And my favorite linebacker, J.T. Bertland out of Notre Dame. If you watch the USC game, he's making plays all over the field. And everybody's going to say he's not big enough, or he can't do this, he can't do that. The _1 key to a successful linebacker is instincts. And this is one of the most instinctful linebackers I saw in the draft this year.
Is this comp Chris Spielman, or is that too rich?
No.
Okay, I just had to ask.
Drew Tranquil was the name that came to mind, sort of a backer type for Notre Dame that has played different roles in the NFL. I'm not sure if that's
you know who I thought traveled together? Him and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I thought both undersized guys, but very instinctive, that overcomes some of their lack of physical abilities. Yeah. That makes sense?
Just to double back one deeper here on the Penix situation and decision. Jordan Love, the comp, the succession plan was sort of put into place as a explanation for this. Love was drafted 26th overall. You could sell that to a fan base. 8th overall, the capital there. And
well, the other thing is you had just signed Kirk Cousins.
Certainly.
Aaron Rodgers had been there.
Kirk Cousins, the out is after year 3. If they want to get off him in year 2, you have a $35 million dead cap hit in year 3, which will make it impossible to put enough talent around Michael Penix Jr. in what will be his first year as a starter. I don't see it, just me. We got to move on here. The Saints are up next, and I know you had Spencer Rattler ranked higher than others did. That is his eventual landing place after the longest quarterback drought from pick 12 to pick Rattler that we'd seen in the common draft era. I know there was other things done before this for those Saints. What do you make of both the Rattler decision, how he situates there, his opportunity, and their draft as a whole?
First off, I'll give the Saints an A for what they did throughout the draft here, not just because of the Spencer Rattler pick, Rick. And if pick 199 is known as the Tom Brady pick, Rick, I'm going to plant my flag. Going forward, round 5, pick 15 will be known as Rattlerville. So just keep that in mind as we go through this.
Let me write that down.
Yeah,
write that down. Rattlerville.
So look.
Get the anti-venom.
Yeah, I love it. Telly Fuaga, we've talked forever that they need offensive line help. Olaf Ashanu was gone. Mickey Loomis didn't have to trade up, so he's going to be potentially a day one starter, have an opportunity to at least compete. Kool-Aid McKinstry, first-round talent, and then Spencer Rattler. I had him as a third-round pick. I think he was 85th or so on my board. He falls to 150. And then a guy that we've talked a lot about, Rick Bub Means, straight line speed, big target. Maybe a little Marcus Colston in this game. I don't know what the future may be in terms of where they want to line him up. And one last name I'll mention, Shrine Bowl participant Christian Boyd out of Northern Iowa did not get a combine invite. I think this is a steal here at the bottom of the draft.
Yeah, no, I loved him when I watched this tape because he's a big physical nose tackle that does have some pass rush ability. But I was surprised he didn't go to the combine because of what you've seen at the East-West Shrine game. And he was also in the Hula Bowl.
Okay.
And I watched some of the Hula Bowl tape there, and he was dominant there. So this is a small school kid, and one of those stories, I bet, that, hey, I wasn't good enough to get invited to the combine, but I'm going to make a pretty good career in the NFL.
Yeah, if you can find that value that late in this draft, you end up looking like a genius. Tampa Bay, that front office inking their quarterback and then making it obvious, putting some help around him. Got a center immediately to help out Baker out in front. A few more pieces, including running back depth and Bucky Irving. I like what they did here. I know I'm not giving out the grades, but it seemed like there was a plan in place and executed to the nth degree.
Yeah, I've joked about this before this week, Joe, that Rick and Pete Prisco like to make fun of me because I love everyone, but I do. There's hard not to. And I give Tampa Bay an A. You talk about Graham Barton, left tackle at Duke. He's going to kick inside. Ryan Jensen had to retire. Rick is very familiar with Chris Braswell. He knows him from Alabama. And it's no surprise that Todd Bowles is going defense there in rounds 2 and 3, Rick. Tyke Smith is a young man that we also liked a lot. Great value with Jalen McMillan, former teammate, of course, of Michael Penix Jr., and then Bucky Irving, who is a dynamic back. Didn't time well, but I thought he was a twitchier, one-cut-and-go type of player that can make you miss and then rip off long runs.
Yeah, no, I thought they followed. This was another. Jason Light always follows his board. And they spent most of the offseason trying to get their own back. They signed Baker Mayfield. They extended Mike Evans, so they wanted to keep as much of that team together as possible. And then you can go get a Graham Barton in the first round that I think will come in and start right away for him. You can get a Chris Braswell. Todd Bowles is always looking for edge rushers, and they got Yaya Diaby last year out of Louisville, and so I think they got a couple really nice young pass rushers coming off the edge. Tyke Smith, everybody was talking about Bullard, and this kid was kind of an unknown, but when you watch him, sometimes when you're watching, I couldn't tell the difference between the two with their style of play. So I thought they did a great job in filling some needs with some young guys and continue to build that roster. But they were also, because they've been in cap, can I say heck?
You can say heck.
Okay, cap hack ever since Tom Brady because they had so much dead money last year. But they were able to come out of it, and they were able to win the NFC South last year, even though Jason Light had his hands tied. So I think they're coming out of that. They're going to add another great draft class. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to me now, past the Atlanta Falcons as a potential winner or repeat winner of the NFC South.
One layer below cap heck is wherever the Carolina Panthers are right now. Bryce's Inferno, currently the situation there. They lost this draft last year, but how did they do with what they had?
Yeah, they did, and I would imagine that the ownership does not want to revisit those moments in retrospect. Fun fact, guys, I was born in Columbia, South Carolina, and I mentioned that because their first pick, they traded up to 32 to get Xavier Legette, is from South Carolina. And if you want to have an enjoyable draft moment, go listen to his press conference because he is as country as it comes, and it is refreshing. And more than that, Rick, he's 6'2", 6'3". He ran in the 4.3s. He's a big catch machine down the field. He can stack defensive backs. All of things that Bryce Young did not have a year ago. So I would imagine Bryce is excited. Bryce also should be excited by their next pick. And you talked about Jerry Jones tipping his hand with Jonathan Brooks, the running back out of Texas. He's now going to be a Carolina Panther. And then I'll mention Jatavian Sanders staying on the opposite side of the ball. You don't draft Jatavian Sanders to block anyone, but you do draft him to be a problem in the middle of the field, and he has some athleticism. I thought he might go a little higher than day 3, but again, great news for Bryce Young in that offense.
Yeah, they got a couple weapons for Bryce. I think they're going to want to put an emphasis on running the ball. Jonathan Brooks, once he's healthy, I think he can be one of the best running backs in this league, the way he showed on tape this year. So, notch below Bijan Robinson, notch below Jahmyr Gibbs, but he's going to be a very good running back, and then put him with the running backs they have down there. It'll set up play-action pass for Bryce and his ability, and that's what Dave Canales wants to do. He had a lot of success with Baker Mayfield last year. I expect Bryce Young is very happy that Dave Canales is the head coach down there.
Just for clarity's sake,
B+.
Our professor here, B+.
Yeah,
Okay.
Got caught up in the Xavier Legette story there.
Kind are the eyes of our Ryan Wilson, a B+ for Carolina. Again, just grading with what they had here. Let's take a look at those odds to win the always available NFC South. It's sort of like this is the four-way stop. Everybody gets there same time. No, you go. You go. You go. Week 13 rolls around.
Did the Panthers,
all right, I'll go.
Did the Panthers break down in this four-way stop?
They might not have wheels. They're on blocks right now. 14-1 to win a very winnable division.
So if I put $1 on, I can win $1,400?
We will explain wagering to the great Rick Spielman on another day. For now, we got more draft grades to get to coming up.